We'll do it live. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks!
Yo, fuck nuts! It's probing time.
Greetings, strange humans. Welcome to the CjH Entertainment Plus. Let's explore the strange, the exciting, and everything in between.
You can own Star Wars: A New Reporter.
Don't make me angry.
You can change channels if you don't like what you're watching. You can.
Damn, this is a really long intro.
Strange humans, it's time to discuss thrillers and heroes. It's all here with us. From hidden conspiracies to Jurassic fever, dark twists and tales you won't believe either. Justice is calling, the multiverse grows with epic battles and villainous shows. From comics to screens, it's all here with us. The CjH Entertainment Plus.
I think the audio died on that one. But
Don't worry, you can watch Star Wars: A New Quarter.
yeah. And if you don't like what you're watching, you can always change the channel.
Yeah.
So
You just
introduce
get up off your
yourself to
focus
the
and-
people that already know. And the
Oh,
people
hello,
that
I'm Callum. Oh no, of Callum's Cantina. It's been 5 years and people haven't followed me. I'm a Star Wars EU enthusiast and gamer, and I do a bunch of stuff on my channel, mainly to do with video games now.
Yeah. We've both kind of pivoted with their content. Before, I just basically just posted whatever. It was like a vomit of content creation. Just and now I'm like movie reviews, structured, everything, everything makes sense.
Nice, that's good. I mean, structure's needed. And
Yes.
then I'm a bit like, well, you get it when you get it. When I put
Yes.
mine up. Which I've been trying to have more structure. But yeah.
So, anything new with you between the 5 years and a year ago and all that?
Well, it's been 5 years, so since I've been on your channel anyway that I could see. So I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's a long time. Time flies. And yes, a fair bit happens. Like, I looked at the thumbnail of the video and was like, I was still in the old place then. I didn't have the nice shelf with the light, and I got the green screen,
And the green screen.
with some art I commissioned and all that.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends. What do you want to talk about? What's changed?
Well, what's changed is definitely Hollywood and Star Wars.
Have they really changed in 5 years?
That's true. In
Or are
5
people
years.
just noticing more?
With Star Wars, I think it just there was a little bit of hope, and there was like,
Well, it's been more than 10 years now since Star Wars started going that trajectory.
yeah. So now it sank as slow as the Titanic.
Yeah. That's what happens when you treat it like Marvel.
Yeah,
It's an IP that should be treated differently.
yeah, more like an indie movie.
Yeah, or something that's a bit more a special event when a movie comes out versus the
Exactly.
aha, you have to make X amount of movies, X amount of TV shows at X time, otherwise we won't see profits.
I think that's what happened with Marvel too. They like too much.
Yeah. They had some good quality control at one point after Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
And then, Infinity War happened.
Yeah.
And Endgame. Infinity War was, well, as far as I can tell, was the part where I went, yes, this is probably where Marvel's got up to, and then Endgame happened, and I'm like, why did you do that?
Yeah. Hype everyone up and then basically nothing else.
Yeah.
But now that I guess they're hyping up the X-Men and then not doing anything with the X-Men.
They made the X-Men 97 cartoon, I think.
I heard that was good. And then Deadpool and Wolverine. But did they really make that?
Or was that just Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah. They just gave him... They brought in the cameraman and they just started shooting. A fair bit's changed. 5 years happens. So when you get things the same and you get things that change, all that sort of thing. I got more used to streaming on Twitch, and I do that as most of my engagement. And I've just pivoted to that as where I do most of my stuff because it's a lot easier to go. I'll stream it and do it live, and then edit it afterwards. Yeah.
Apart
I
from
remember
a
when I
couple
was
of
trying
things.
to experiment with other sites where it was like D-Live. And I tried a little bit of Twitch here and there, different.
Yeah, Twitch is.
place.
I think Twitch is hard to get traction if you're just going, I'll just go live there and not do anything else.
Yeah. I think we
Like
met
those-
on through Facebook groups, Star Wars.
Yeah, that's how we met first.
Yes. That was chaotic.
Yes.
Just point blank, no details. Yes.
I mean, I guess to talk about it in general, it's like feels very par for the course with a lot of groups around that time, and then things settled down.
And
At
now
least on
you can't even
Facebook.
have a group because now copyright is a thing, I guess. So you can't even call it Star Wars anything.
I don't know. I think I'm still in charge in that admin on Star Wars Expanding Universe Preservation Society, and that's sort of just in. Oh yeah, I'll have a look at it. I can approve or decline some posts.
At this point, yeah, that's the other thing. AI has kind of taken our jobs as admins. We just let the AI run the
Oh well.
group.
Otherwise, you get like 4 or 5 posts that just sit there for a while.
Yeah. Which
And it's like, yeah, you
It's
really care
like-
about the group, don't you? And it can sit there for ages. But then again, there's like 4 or 5 people that are admins and mods that just don't.
Yeah.
Most of them don't do anything.
well, it's good when you get a group of people that you can rely on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess
But
the
that pivots-
changes. A lot of my content's gone from talking about doing book reviews and stuff to just focusing on the video games and some discussion videos and things like that. When I do the discussions, usually use watching someone else's video as a way to talk about things. It's a lot easier way to go, oh yeah, we'll talk about this and then this can come up and we can yada yada yada, that sort of thing. So when I pivoted, I was like, well, I'm quite happy to come in and discuss things with people, but the way I was doing the book reviews, I was going too in depth for casual fans, and then when I tried to change it, I didn't like how I was doing it, and I'm like, yeah, this just isn't working out.
Yeah.
So doing stuff I more enjoy, and not just Star Wars.
Yeah. I did gaming for a little bit because I wasn't I didn't have any content or any ideas. So I
I
was
think
like, might as well
it
just-
helps that it's easy content.
yeah,
In
yeah.
the way you can sit and play a game and have fun.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, this is still a hobby for me. It's not really sustainable work, so
Yeah.
I found it much funner though to edit videos and like review a movie or even talk about a TV show like Dexter. Shout out to all my Dexter fans because that quality content for the views.
Oh yes, for the views.
For the
Omelette
views.
de fromage.
But also because I do enjoy the show. Speaking of which, have you ever seen that show?
No.
Well, there
That's
you
why
go.
I think of Dexter's Lab.
Yeah.
I've heard people talk about it a little bit, but it's sort of a thing of, okay, well, I watched Breaking Bad way after it was released, and then it's like, well, apparently this is another deconstruction of a villain type thing, but other than that...
Those TV shows, do you find this is the golden era of TV shows versus
I guess
movies?
it depends how you think of it, probably.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a golden era in the way of you have so much that's happened already that you can pick and choose what you watch and be entertained for your whole life, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's been your parents' generation and from your grandparents' generation where television was introduced that you got so much stuff that you can pick what's quality and not and enjoy it. And then you can still not watch everything.
Yeah.
So in that way, I think so. But if you're talking about
Quality.
current releases and quality of content versus not, it seems like the stuff that's bad is bad in a different way from, oh, you go watch a B-grade movie in a cinema back in the 50s or something.
Yeah.
In the way of, oh yeah, you're not going there for escapism because you can't, in the way of you're going to be confronted with modern social issues in a lot of entertainment that comes from the big names at least.
Yeah. But we're also finding out that
story.
we're also finding out that whole social commentary has always been in Hollywood movies anyway.
Yeah.
So it's
But
nothing really
I've
new.
always gone a bit like you can see it and it's always been there, but it's the way it's written as well. It's like you see some of the modern social commentary and issues and stuff, and the way it was written is a lot better than the way it is written now because they seem to just bash you in the face with them, so you can't really go, oh yeah, I noticed that, but I'm still immersed in the story.
Yeah. Whereas
Compared
something
to-
like Planet of the Apes or Star Wars was like, it's clearly commentary, but it's also
You've got
we're
a
just
fictional
going
world.
on. We're going explosions and
Yeah, and if you're a kid, you don't know anything about Nazis,
That's
you still enjoy the story.
that's the other thing. Yeah.
You still get it.
Yeah. Like you're watching Star Trek, and as a kid, you're not going to pick up on the little things that, grown-ups would pick up on, right?
Yeah, but if you're a kid and you go, Mommy, what's this person doing saying she's queer or non-binary or whatever?
Well, I guess that's a whole different discussion. But going
Yeah.
into going into AI though, how do you think that's gonna evolve in Hollywood and movie making in general? Not just Hollywood, but like indie companies.
Well, even see now on Steam and stuff, there's indie games using AI, and they're complete slop. But it's scary how someone can put together something just from AI, and it can only get better. So I think I enjoy cyberpunk stories and that sort of thing. I've actually been reading Philip K. Dick at the moment he's the fellow that wrote Dangerous Dream of Electric Sheep that inspired Blade Runner. He wrote the Minority Report short story that the movie of the same name was based off of, and We Can Remember It For You Wholesale was Total Recall, and they did a lot more with that story than the short story did, which I thought was interesting. But like that sort of thing. It's like, okay, well, clearly people have thought about this already and done sort of stories in a way of, you read this story and you see the warning of, oh, it could end up being something really bad, but it also could end up being something good in the way of, if you treat it as a tool to be able to speed up a creative process, but you're still a human driving it and you're bringing a lot of the creativity, then that's good.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of the
Adding-
AI is virtual intelligence, not artificial intelligence anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Adding human element. Yeah.
yeah. And all of the virtual intelligence stuff at the moment, text completion algorithms or whatever, are derivative based on what they're trained off of rather than being original.
Yeah.
And so I think you get a lot, if they rely too much on that, then you get all of the movies are gonna just feel the same. They're gonna be, oh, we know how this turns out every single time. And yeah, people might go watch them, and that's like how you look at business versus creative endeavors with entertainment as well.
Do you
So,
think that's why people have almost moved from watching movies and TV to like YouTubers
in a way,
and content creators?
YouTubers use AI too now. And it's, I mean, it's always EU stuff. It's like, well, people read Wikipedia and they just get the VI to read out Wikipedia and put that as a YouTube video.
That's the other thing, yeah.
But I guess in that way as well, it's a lot easier access. I mean, you get easy access if you've got streaming apps on your phone, but YouTube's free.
Yeah.
And then you end up going, well, you can pick and choose who you watch, and then it becomes more curated with the algorithm and whatever else.
Yeah. And especially if the YouTubers are talking to the audience, you get that interaction, right? That you can't
get a bit more of that parasocial relationship.
Yeah. Which is also dangerous.
Yes.
You get those crazy fans.
That just inherently tends to happen in that sort of thing, especially with streamers and things like that, is that, oh man, I think I've got one dude that thinks he can demand that I do something because, oh, you're my friend. And I'm like, I've talked to him a little bit outside of streams and stuff. And I'm like, that's not how it works. He demands I do something. Then when I decide to do it on a different day than he wanted anyway, he doesn't even turn up on the stream. So
that's usually how it goes.
I don't want to create that expectation either with people. So yeah. I think for YouTubers, you can see that it's a bit more amateurish, but then you I think people like to see you're there from the start when something's small and it grows as well, and you're along for the journey, that sort of thing. And people create whatever they want on YouTube, and it just, well, within reason, and it can blow up depending on who finds it.
Yeah. There's always those YouTubers out there that are like, my channel's under attack, and then you find out that they said something bad, and they're like, I didn't do nothing.
Or it was them that started it. And then they're just drama farming.
Yeah. It's like, this company is attacking my YouTube personally, even though I said a bad word.
No, it's not his YouTube, it's him personally. It's always taking him personally. It's the internet.
Yeah,
What do you expect?
exactly.
I've had enough of that just in the little
Star
niche
Wars
fandom I'm in.
What about fans funding their own projects? I know there's many indie comics out there and indie games, even indie movies. What do you think of that?
I think that that's great that people can be creative and stuff, and they usually, like, when you say fans being funded, they tend to create stuff related to the IP that they love. And so I think they can create some really good stuff out of that. Like, Jeff and I on my channel have been watching the Darth Angelus Heir to the Empire animation, and that's been really good. And then he's actually finished that now, and we recorded, and before that recording comes up, oh look, the last episode.
Yeah.
But that tends to be a running thing.
I know some. Well, you mentioned that some of them are based on IPs, right? But there are some projects out there that are the original,
Yeah,
idea.
I guess that was in the context of how I'd interpret fans funding their own projects.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'd love to see people doing their own original content as well, and that's what I've thought, like, when you think of Star Wars Expanded Universe context, if you want to, as fans, continue it through fan fiction, which some people have done by now, versus focusing those energies if you want to be creative in an original space and actually go, okay, maybe I'll write an original story, do something original, and be able to make that something for myself. And I've gone, well, if I'm writing something, I probably want to put my energies into something original, because then if it does become popular, if it does take off, and it's something that I as a creative want to do still, even though it's been like, yeah, I haven't done that for a while. It's a thing where I go, well, if it does build up popularity and takes off, then it's all my original work, and there's not going to be any legal drama like Nintendo chases you for your Super Mario fan fiction or something. Or buys your Super Mario porn.
Of course, that's a big deal where they copyright something that you made,
Yeah. And I get that you love the setting and you make stuff for it, but I'm like, well, with Star Wars EU, I would think of that setting because that's the one I'm in the most, and then after the experience there, I'm like, do I bother with many other fandoms? Not really. And
there's Anthony Cheeseman in the chat saying cinema.
Nice.
Got
It's
one word
absolute
comments. Cinema.
Hollywood films, or I should say like Spider-Man, which Sam Raimi's films I like actually, and I'm very glad that it was a big success.
Yeah, that whole thing of like, okay, well, we have, in Star Wars EU context, we have over 300 novels, including the young adult novels, and that sort of thing. It's like, you're not satisfied still reading those, even though there is the debate whether to continue through fanfiction or not. But you could be putting your energies into something original that can become something great as well, and I think then you have full creative control and all that sort of thing, which is probably more beneficial in some ways.
Yeah.
Of course, I think a lot of people, like Darth Angelus doing his Heir to the Empire animation, end up learning how to create the models and that sort of thing and use the fan film as a way to learn, which I think is great, because it's like I might end up doing that for something because I want to learn to do a few more things, maybe with Unreal Engine or something, to be able to go, okay, I need some project to work on to go, I want to create this, otherwise I'm like, okay, well, I'm not really motivated to learn how to do something.
That's the thing, right? You gotta, maybe you need to do the IP franchise fan film before you lead into your own type thing.
Yeah, and there's people that have gone from writing fan fiction to writing their own novels and all that too, because they practiced, which hones the craft, which is actually the argument for it too.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on video games and current video games and how everything's live service now?
Not quite everything. My thoughts on video games. I like video games.
If you want to see Callum play video games, go check out his channel.
Yeah. I've got Alan Wake 2 going up at the moment, and I'm at the end of Knights of the Old Republic 2, and that sort of thing. I've been playing Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney games as well, so
yeah,
all that good stuff.
I just put your channel in the comments there, so
Nice. And
promotion.
Yeah, I tend to find that a lot of like games that I would go to are single player games anyway, so live service is a bit. I don't tend to go for them, but of course, a lot of the live service tends to be multiplayer anyway.
Yeah. And retro games, you can never go wrong with retro games.
Yeah. And you've got GOG going along and doing the game preservation stuff, which is great. You can download the offline installers. And
Whoa. Emulation.
Oh,
YouTube.
GOG, you pay for them and you download the files.
I know.
Emulation.
I'm making a joke that YouTube would be like, whoa.
Well, if Nintendo would actually let us have proper emulation on the one console to play all the games,
yeah,
then people wouldn't be upset. Like, emulating the Nintendo Wii now is like, well, you shut down the Wii shop.
Yeah, exactly. You can't play the old games.
There's no way to actually purchase the games either, because it's like, okay, the Nintendo Switch has motion controls. You could make sure to port all the Wii Sports and all that on there too, but they haven't.
Yeah. And they're lazy about the ports too. Like, look at the GTA ports. Like, they just... I don't even know what they did with that.
What they've done with Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. Battlefront. That was a disaster.
Oh boy. They patched it by now, but I find it hilarious. And the price of them. Yeah. It's like, you can still buy the original games on Steam and play the multiplayer, because Steam fixed the servers for those for cheaper than you can get the Battlefront Classic Collection.
Yeah. Even the original Red Dead, like, they did a patch or a port of that, and it was just lazy, you know? It was the same game. They didn't even bother to change it.
I mean, if they're just doing a port, you expect that. But if they're trying to advertise it as mastered, you expect a bit more.
Yeah.
Or even like with the Metal Gear Solid example, it seems scummy because they had Ape Escape in the original, as far as I know. I only played them for the first time from the Master Collection. But then now they're teasing that, Metal Gear Solid Delta, the remake that you have to pay over 100 Aussie dollars for, is going to be in the remake. And we didn't put that in there, even though it's in a version of the game from back when it was released.
Yeah. Could you would you have thought that in 2025 that there would be a Jar Jar Binks DLC for Jedi Power Battles?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, damn. Well,
I'm pretty sure that Jar Jar Binks was already in there, wasn't he?
Apparently, they added a DLC to it.
I mean, it's sort of bundled with it now. Hang on, now I'll have to check this. Because I didn't end up playing the original Jedi Power Battles. And...
Adds
so it's hard to tell.
Jar Jar is a surprise playable character.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they give the people what they want.
They want Jar Jar. I guess they get Jar Jar.
Because back in the day, you even had the Jar Jar lollipops and everything.
Oh God, I've seen those. Whose bright idea was that? One day George was just eating a lollipop and was like, You know what would be a good lollipop? Jar Jar's tongue.
I'm thinking of that when he had the tongue shoot out to grab the fruit. in me and Anakin's house. I was like, you know, his tongue could be a lollipop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think? Well, speaking of patches, I know the new thing is to patch up movies now, even when they're in the theater.
I remember the main example of that starting was in Game of Thrones
Spider-Man?
with the Starbucks coffee cup.
Oh, that too, yeah. Although George has been doing that years ago.
It's a bit different, I guess, when you release different editions of the movie compared to it being on the streaming service and you don't have the choice whether you watch one version of the movie versus the other.
But now they do it in the theater as well. So with
there's
No
so
Way
many different
Home,
cuts of the movie. Yeah, that's right.
No Way Home, they fixed Spider-Man for a brief moment where you looked like Arnold with big buff.
And that's what they should have done with the Sonic movies. To select cinemas, they just send the old design of Sonic.
Piss off all the fans and be like, "We tricked you."
Ah, you got bamboozled.
So
I mean, that sort of thing I think is more egregious because I think back in the day, early in the movies and stuff, they'd send different cuts to different cinemas, and there'd be different versions for different countries, especially if it's somewhere like China that ends up, oh, you can show your movie in China, but you have to change this, this, and this, which is issue with free speech, but. It's like, well, if you want your movie to be shown in China, you have to do that.
Yeah.
But streaming services end up getting to the point where you have this movie.
I know that country doesn't really like ghosts and paranormal movies. They're big on censorship with that.
Yeah, the Chinese make the ghost and supernatural horror games.
Yeah. So maybe that's changed. I don't know. I remember them turning down.
Or
Ghost
it's something
Rider
where
or
it's
something.
like, okay, you can't have that in the country, but you can have it outside of the country.
Yeah.
But if you think
because
about
I
live
remember
service,
Ghost Rider. They didn't like that because it's had the word ghost. So
Skeleton Rider, then. Yeah, Skeleton Rider. But yeah, I was thinking about live service. I guess the experience I have has been with some games that want to be terminally online. So, like, Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact and that sort of thing. I'm just playing it and I'm going, why do I need to have 200 to 300 ping on this when it's playing the single player part?
Well, that's the other thing. Now every game you have to download. So there's no need for physical copies for the newer games. You know what I mean? But then the old games, you need the physical copy. So
yeah, remember when they relied on the CD being in the disk drive?
Yeah, when they had all of the game in the game disc.
I guess that's the worst part of patching things and all that, is that it's the video game thing and the movie thing is like, well, they just don't release their version of the product and then it's out there. They keep patching it and changing it and all of that. Because I think it's a thing I've noticed. I played Helldivers 2 with some friends on Discord and that sort of thing. And it's been like, oh, I like this weapon. Great, they've nerfed it. That sort of thing. And they keep changing the balances of how the weapons work and stuff, and then you go, well...
Yeah.
Why do you need to do that?
That's the other thing. They patch up little mistakes that they have, and then, like, glitches, you know, where, like, oh, I jump in that spot, then I can, you know, defeat the boss or something.
Oh, speedrunning
You know what I mean?
tactic, you mean?
Yeah.
I get actual patches for glitches and things. I think that makes a lot more sense. But they
Yeah.
get lazy and don't ship a finished game when they release it.
But people that rely on those glitches would be like, oh, I can accidentally go into this building by just moving a little bit
Yeah.
to the left.
But the other funny part with that is like Pokemon Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond, where they kept the same glitches that were in the original game. And it's like, did you even do much work? The same,
Yeah.
it acts exactly the same as the original game for things that were fixed in future Pokemon generations.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So yeah.
Yeah.
I changed. Oh yeah, last time I was on here, I forgot to mention I was just using my name.
Your full name.
And now it's Callum
Other CJ.
Cantina. Yeah, we're both CJ.
Yeah. And me, I was just an avatar. And,
The last Airbender.
well, I wasn't even this avatar. That was my previous one.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I changed my name. So if you're searching, it was interesting because I'm like, oh, I have to put my last name in to find the previous one.
I've changed my channel's name like 3 times.
I hadn't changed it before because I didn't come across a good name, and then the inspiration stuck, and that went well.
And technically, I deleted this channel, but I turned it into a brand channel. So, like, I deleted a part of it. Almost, in a way, it's like a Horcrux. You delete a part of the soul of the channel.
You need to delete part of it so that you can kill the Voldemort.
Yeah. And I don't even think anyone noticed there.
That's how you
just
can tell the
turns it
real
into a brand
fans.
channel.
As if they notice.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
I've
think
got...
like
when I was doing
I think there's like
Soy
one
Toss
thing.
and everything.
Yeah.
Sorry. We both started to talk at the same time. Sorry.
Yeah. It always happens here on this channel. Or all the other channels.
I like how we both wait for each other, but we wait the same amount of time to start speaking.
We can blame it on the time zones, though.
It's the delay over the internet. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was thinking, like, with my Soy Tour playthroughs and that, when I was streaming Souls of the Old Republic, and I've got all of the class stories plus the playthrough of the expansions and that on there. Sometimes it'd be like, oh, no one's watching, I'll just rant to myself, and then no one comments about the rant at all. I'm like, yeah, that's about half of the course.
Yeah.
So there's some fun rants in there through the hours and hours of footage.
Yeah. So, I think I remember that you were working on your own filmmaking at one point.
Yeah. Well, life happened. I still like
certain virus
to work
happened.
on that. Certain virus, certain things in life.
Zombie outbreak. You know how things go.
It wasn't even really that. It was like other life things happening because it was 2021. I think I finished studying film and TV at college, and then it ended up being like, okay, well, some of my friends have gone back overseas, and then a little bit after that, there was some friend drama that happened, and it's like, well, now things weren't going well for me personally, and so things ended up on hold for a while. But I would like to do that. I just need to work out my timing, because the biggest thing is it feels like I run out of time in the day to do that sort of thing. And I've got half script still sitting there, and then I just need to be in the mood and write. I think I'll write a short story and then adapt it to a script to be easier for my creative process. But it's like the plan's there. I've done freelance video work personally outside of doing YouTube and that, and then it's just continuing on with that trend and actually making time for things. And sort of going, no, do this, rather than being distracted by playing video games and stuff like that.
Yeah, at a certain point, you're playing the video game or watching other YouTubers, and then you're like, well, why aren't I doing that? Why am I devoting my time to someone else's content when I could be making that? You know what I mean?
And so, and the sort of thing like I was saying about doing fan content versus original content, even in the, if you want to create a short film or something, it's like, yeah, I have some ideas and things that I want to use and concepts and that from reading books and all that. There's like, put my own spin on them, do my own thing, rather than try to put all the effort into a fan film, which would be like, okay, well, I can't make any money off it if it does take off. So there's that sort of
what
thing.
do you think
too.
about how other YouTubers have kind of abandoned the nerd culture and gone into, like, you know, more controversial topics?
Yeah, they do that because it follows the algorithm. They get the views. Oh, it's a bit like, I guess, I don't really agree with that method, but there is some valid points in bringing up criticisms about modern entertainment, I'd say, because like a lot of them seem to farm drama, or they keep hate watching stuff, they keep bringing up criticisms about this or that, and I don't particularly like that content personally, but I think you still do need people that are fans giving feedback to the creators would help improve the product if they listened.
Yeah. It's like a mixed bag, because now it's like, clearly it's not honest when they're hating everything, but there's also, you know, constructive criticism you can give, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's some people that ham up the drama and the anger and that, and probably a lot of them are.
And they do the same thing on the positive stuff too.
Yeah,
do the same thing on the positive side. It's like, you know, Mr. Beast, you know, I'm gonna, you know,
or they'll do, or you get the people that do that, and then you get the people that are complete opposite, that are not going to engage in any debate at all.
Yeah. Or how I used to be, where I was like, you know, low talking and like almost ASMR. We're gonna talk about Star Wars.
You have to use your outside voice when you're speaking into the microphone, otherwise it sounds like you're just mumbling to yourself.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're just mumbling to yourself.
I've gotten that criticism so many times. I'm like, where are the ones where you spam the community post? Although now YouTube rewards that, so I'm like, yeah.
I don't like spam. And they like shorts, which I just end up. I've got some clips from Twitch that I'm like, okay, I've finally caught up with editing some stuff. Maybe I'll do shorts. I haven't yet.
You know what's funny about the shorts is, like, on TikTok, it's like, oh, this is cringe. And then on YouTube, it's like, oh, okay, it's just another feature on YouTube. It's weird. It's like,
if you're looking at the app, I'd rather have the shorts like they come up on the home page where you have the thumbnails and you can pick and choose like other videos, rather than you go to the shorts tab and it just goes, oh, shove in your face. I'm like, I'd rather pick and choose.
Well, the other thing, and I used to be a big problem with this, were movie clips. So people can just upload movie clips as shorts now. Or that's all
they're
they
less than
do,
15
right?
seconds long, aren't they?
Yeah. And I used to be bad for that, but like now everyone does it, and it's like, oh my god, this is cringe. Because like it removes the you from YouTube, right? It's no longer about the content creator, it's about whatever movie clip.
But it's even like you say, oh look, it's TikTok, it's cringe, it's what they're allowing on the platform, and then also what the people watching are choosing to watch. But I guess some people are too young to be able to discern, is that healthy for me, or is that not? And that's something that is a parenting thing that should be addressed probably. Because of all those
ratings
things
on movies.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking not even about just putting some mindless movie clips or whatever up that's not your own content. I'm thinking about the stuff that's actually like, here's all of the brain rot that's going around.
Yeah, there's so much of the brain rot.
And it's like, yeah, you're intentionally lowering people's attention spans and filling their brains with what seems like mindless junk that won't help them or is a detriment to them rather than being beneficial. Like, I watched some shorts on YouTube that are like, okay, here's a comedy skit. Here's someone talking about their huskies. Here's something or other.
The good thing about the shorts,
stuff that I like more.
Yeah. The good thing about the shorts is they're really good for how-to videos. Because when people do the how-to videos, it's like, oh, welcome to the video, and this is my channel. I'm like, blah, blah. I don't care. I just want to know how to build the computer.
Does help with that. It's people's videos that ramble on at the start. And you can check out my Patreon and blah, blah, blah.
You like my video and subscribe. Even though everyone knows how to do that.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do that, you do it anyway.
Yeah. That will just force people to dislike.
That's alright, because you don't see those anymore unless you've got an extension and you're a power user of YouTube.
Yeah. It sucks for those videos that are meant for the dislikes. So, like, can we get 1,000 dislikes and then now you can't do that anymore? So it's like, well,
it's harder to tell.
Likes.
It is harder to tell for some videos because it's like people won't press the dislike button because they can't see the numbers, so they're like, "Oh, what's the point?"
Yeah.
Be able to tell what's a bad video, but yeah.
Were there any topics that you wanted to bring up?
I think you mentioned talking about Star Wars EU stuff and passion for it and stuff after 5 years.
Is there still a passion for that despite how Disney has kind of hurt the fandom or hurt the franchise? Like,
I think they hurt the fandom too.
Itself. Yeah. But like how that is true. The fandom is all like, they hate everything now.
And there's little niches of people that I find, okay, I've got my group now. I do a tabletop RPG. I run Star Wars Saga Edition. And I'm getting caught up on that too with videos. I edited the backlog of them. They end up being really fun because we just have a few people that we have fun with. But on a larger scale, it just seems like things won't work out because people can't agree enough on anything.
Yeah.
But it's good when you do find the people that can just stop and talk about EU and there's enough.
But it's also not good to have an echo chamber either on both sides. Like if you all hate something or all like something, you know what I mean? You gotta have a mixture.
Yeah. It's like I still have fun, I'm still enjoying the EU, but it's like separate to the fandom now, it feels like. Because a lot of interaction I had and talking to people in some certain ways seems to have filtered off.
Where it goes
And
back to that what's the word you said?
parasocial relationship.
Yeah.
It's
Where,
also a
like,
bit
you get
like,
stalkers and whatnot. Yeah.
well, I talked to other content creators, especially initially, and then we tried things and then they haven't worked out, and then we're still on friendly terms, a lot of us, and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
but we just don't end up messaging, and I'm like, well, if I gotta try and do all the work to just hold this thing together, then it's not gonna work out either, because it goes both ways.
Or then you get those other fans that are like B level.
That's alright, he's not on YouTube anymore.
At the end of the day, we won.
Because all of his thing was drama farming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
just
but I
trying
know
to-
that he really went after you.
Yeah, and then I could warn other people at least.
Yeah.
But did you see, like, the expandeduniverse.com website is not up anymore?
Is that from Star Wars or from fans?
That
Like,
was a fan-run website that was...
do you wonder
how
who
much you
created
remember
it?
the name and stuff. It was... I forget the exact thing because there was some drama behind the scenes. That's everything in the EU fandom now, virtually.
Nothing
that's-
like bad
but
happened
that's-
or anything.
No, I don't think anything bad happened, especially. I think that it probably was just hard to keep up with
Yeah,
what
probably
they were
hard
doing.
to keep paying for it, and yeah.
Because it was Matt Wilkins and Christopher Nelson and that ended up running the site. And then that was that, I'll say that group of people that would end up putting the stuff on there and that. And it was pretty good. I didn't visit it a whole lot because I just ended up spending my time doing other things, because especially when you're immersed so much in reading Star Wars, and I was like, well, I don't tend to want to look at it all the time. My life went, I would be doing other things. Like I think I mentioned, I was reading Philip K. Dick to you, and it's like, well, I want to read a variety as well. But it's like, oh, that's different. Oh, yes, on websites, I've got my own website up too that I don't do too much on, but I'm putting the Star Wars short stories up that would be lost to the depths of time when they change StarWars.com and all that.
Yeah.
Unless I get a cease and desist, but I can take them down. I can take them down.
Disney's lawyers come to your door like, knock, knock.
Yeah, well, I was like, well, you don't have that up on StarWars.com anymore. And so, yeah, I tend to go a variety now if I want to read a variety. Because Star Wars is still a fairly big passion, and I can still talk about it and know a fair bit about it and that sort of thing. I think it was, yeah, the other night when I was streaming, someone asked about stuff to do with it, because I actually found my Twitch stream from looking at my YouTube and watching some of my KOTOR 2 playthrough and stuff. And it's like, okay, now I'm on a side tangent.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
I find for me, because I grew up with the prequels, my passion kind of falls in line with Kenobi, Darth Vader, Anakin, that type
makes
of
sense.
era, right?
A lot of my passion came from finding out about stuff that happened in the expanded universe, which is like, well, if I just watched the movies, I would never have stuck with the franchise.
But even with the Legends, like, I was a big fan of the Jedi Apprentice series, and
yeah,
you know,
they're really good.
Even, and I always mess up this. It's kind of a running joke at this point. Boba Fett. The Boba Fett series. There used to be a book series.
Yeah, and a trilogy.
I also used
stuff.
Yeah, I also used to read all the comics, Dark Horse comics.
Yeah, nice. Actually, that's a difference as well. I've actually finished reading all of the Star Wars EU comics now.
Well, that was a thing that I was
I'm
going to
still
mention.
working on the novels.
Oh, so you haven't finished all the novels? Because that
No,
was my
that's a
next
process.
question. Was at what point do you like? Oh, I've read everything. You know what I mean? So where do I go from there? You know what I mean?
Well, it's like I was just sort of trying to treat them separately, but I also don't want to rush it because you still want to enjoy the journey. So I'm going to reread the Jedi Academy trilogy because it's been so long since I read them as well. To go, okay, do that. But like the point where you go, I've read everything, is when you go, okay, I know I've read these books and I can track it, sort of thing. Because you don't have to read them all. It's just because I'm super nerd about it.
Yeah.
But I'm going, okay, well, I've got the young adult novels, I've got the adult novels, and like up to this point with Jedi Academy, it's like I've read every single novel. Apart from, I think there's young adult or children's books that are like, here's an adaptation of the TCW movie that I don't have.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't think
I really liked the Cade Skywalker storyline.
Oh yeah, Legacy is really good.
Yeah, it was a really good
And you can see
series.
where they were going with that. I think especially the end of life release date stuff like Dawn of the Jedi was 2013 and Legacy was 2013. I think Legacy Volume 2 went into 2014 a little bit. They were really good. And they were starting to explore other eras and other parts of the Star Wars universe, which I'm like, damn, that was cut short.
Yeah. I know you haven't watched any of the new stuff, but so I was gonna ask.
Rise of Skywalker, I think it's called.
So you never saw Kenobi? I mean,
No.
See, I know that there's a novel, and that's why I was.
There's a novel called Kenobi. You should.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
I remember reading. I remember reading that, but I'm like, I also noticed that there's a couple of references to that novel too, in the series.
Okay.
So that's why I was
Yeah,
wondering.
I think I've seen by second-hand information of people just mentioning it that they're like, "Oh, there's a reference to this and a reference to that." Also, I think at one point, like, I think when Solo came out, they was like, "Okay, there's a reference. There's Exar Kun's holocron or whatever it was exactly." There's stuff in one of the rooms. And that's when they were like, oh yeah, but if it's mentioned in an art book, then it's not necessarily canon. And I'm like, oh god, you're just creating caveats for yourself.
See, that's where our opinions with Star Wars kind of branch off, because it's like, you want them to make new stuff that's not connected to the EU, while I'm more like, I want them to reference that stuff and not make new characters and say that, like Kylo Ren, why didn't they just call him Jason? You know what I mean? Jason Solo. Like, it makes no sense to me why.
It makes no sense what they called him Ben anyway.
Yeah.
When it was Leia and Han's son, it's like.
yeah.
I kind of get the viewpoint, but I can. As far as I see it, they over-rely on the expanding universe stuff, like, especially when you look at Rise of Skywalker, they directly lift stuff from Dark Empire rather than coming up with their own ideas.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'd rather them just adapt Dark Empire, you know what I mean? Instead of
But they adapt it into a worse version of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's always going to be a thing, but don't, like, make this new thing and kind of rip off what was, and just say, you know, they're two different. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I was like, well, you can have the EU and continue that separately, like all this stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
All right, do
like,
that, and then actually
good
make
example
movies and stuff set in that world. Or if you want to, or you just release a new novel by now or something. When you go to, say, we started a new timeline because we wanted creative freedom. Plus,
a
it's
good
like, well, if they're
example-
doing that, something that drew me to the EU was it's a fairly large franchise that didn't have more than one timeline. If you're gonna make another timeline, make it very different. And I don't mind to say they put references and things like.
Yeah.
Fans and nerds will get references
Yeah,
and
they'll
things
be
like
like,
that.
"Oh, I understand that reference." You know, it's like that meme with Leonardo.
Like,
You
that.
I was gonna say, it's kind of like Marvel though, where like clearly they're not adapting the comics,
Yeah.
but they're taking references from the comics. You know what I mean?
They're adapting it in a way because I think there was the whole Infinity Gauntlet stuff in the comics.
Yeah,
and that
but it's
sort
not
of
the
thing.
story
It's
exactly.
different. Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, I feel like Star Wars should do that, but they're not. So.
Well, they have their own comics and stuff. I mean, Star Wars is a completely different beast to start Marvel, which is why I think it should be treated differently anyway.
Yeah, I think Star Wars is kind of. They said the Legends was confusing. I think Star Wars canon is more confusing now.
Yeah, because what is it? They say that everything's canon, so it's on the same level. But then they have, hearing secondhand, Dave Filoni contradicting the Ahsoka novel and other depictions of stuff with her in one of the TV series. And it's like, well, the books clearly aren't as canon as the TV shows and that sort of thing.
Well, I've always been the mindset of, like, I believe they should get rid of the term canon completely. Like, just canon, just the term, and just say, this is this timeline, this is this timeline.
Yeah,
if you want to explore that timeline, there's that.
No, they don't want
things
people
canon
to
because
explore
it confuses
the expanded
everything.
universe. They don't want to. They don't want people to explore legends, as they call it now.
So they just call everything canon.
So they everything canon because yeah, and also
but you know how like
well,
MCU is like 616, and like you know,
Yeah.
comics are 616,
and 420,
they got little
69, or
numbers.
whatever else.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the point, but I think it shouldn't be bandied around. Like, before the Clone Wars 2008 came out, they didn't release anything that said canon as such. They said, oh yeah, all the things count towards each other and that sort of thing. But they didn't say they released the canon tier list, which they use internally for the holocron, which everyone misinterprets. And that sort of thing. But yeah, I think it shouldn't matter. Other than the case with that is there were continuity errors and continuity issues that couldn't just be explained as, oh, they made a guff, and they needed more explanation, and people wanted to know why it was so different from the Clone Wars multimedia project and that sort of things that came in the EU before. And then it was like, that's when they started bringing up, oh, is it canon, whatever else, with a bunch of that. And that's still divisive in the EU fandom, as far as I know. I can rant easy.
It's very confusing. It's like, and then people argue with you. It's like, this is canon and this is not canon, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
The whole thing with, oh yeah, TCW doesn't fit with the EU, doesn't fit with Legends, it doesn't work. Oh, they took that for new canon, so it can't be. But then it's also like, well, they released official books that were tie-ins to TCW, that if you take out TCW, you have to take those out, and then they actually aren't part of the new canon. They're only part of the EU, even though the continuity is weird. And then, okay, if you connect that together, like Darth Plagueis, which is one of the most popular novels, as far as I know, has information from TCW that it included, and that sort of thing, because some of the beauty of the EU is like they come up with new information, and then as they're going, they adopt it into the whole. Which, for good or bad, that ended up happening. And it's like, yeah. And like, I have my timeline on my website, callumscantina.com now. And I was really trying to work out each way TCW might be able to fit in the continuity just to know what order things were going. And I'm like, nothing works. I'm going to list it, but I'll list it separately because I'm trying to go by a pre-2014 mindset for Lucasfilm that goes, well, that was released when the EU came out and it is included in parts of that. So it should be referential to that, plus those extra books and comics and things.
Yeah. What do you think about movies that aren't franchises, like more indie filmmaking?
Like more standalone movies?
Yeah, that not so much like the Star Wars, the Marvels, the DCs, but more like, I don't know, maybe horror or like, you know,
this thing really, I think, well, we can look at some examples. Like I already mentioned Philip K. Dick. So Blade Runner and that kind of thing, like, I guess it
more
would be
niche.
a franchise now because there's a sequel that was done years
but
later.
It's more of a cult classic, yeah.
Yeah, but in some ways, I think there's been some great movies that work as one-off stories, and then that's great, and you don't touch it, and they're just timeless. That sort of thing. I'd really like some of those. Like, I rewatched Blade Runner after I read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and that was really interesting to see what they did with it directly afterwards. And that sort of thing. And, well, I think my brain's going the way of... Sometimes, like, I'm trying to war with myself, because do you know much about Alan Wake, Thinking of Horror?
That's the video game, right?
Yeah.
And isn't there a novel or something?
Oh, Alan Wake has a sequel, Alan Wake 2, that I currently going up on my channel. But then they also have the game Control that's going up in the same universe, and that sort of thing. I'm sort of warring in myself thinking, yeah, I'm still enjoying that, and they're doing some really fun things, but because you've created more in the universe, things aren't as much of a mystery, or you set some things in stone because you made a sequel that you need to when you do wider world building, that sort of thing, that I go... In some ways, I almost prefer if it was just the first game. But it is nice that they're doing more. And I think they do want to do multimedia stuff from what I've seen news-wise.
Yeah. How do you feel about them adapting the video games? I know sometimes it's hit and miss.
Some things do a good job of it. I watched Secret Level not too long ago.
Fallout. I thought Fallout was pretty good.
Fallout was pretty good, yeah. Some of the things is like, okay, you changed the continuity for this. Why?
Yeah, but they also said it was canon,
so
technically it's them changing the continuity.
Oh, with
weird.
The feral ghoul, with the ghouls needing to sniff drugs so that they don't go feral. Yeah. That's something. Is like, yeah, I mean, it's good. Like most of it was fine. It's just some of that's like it doesn't exist in the games. I don't know why they decided to make that a thing in the show, but hey. I thought some do really well. Like Fallout, I thought was good, yeah. But Secret Level is a great showcase of some things are really good and some things are absolute garbage. So, do you know much about that show?
The Fallout?
Secret Level.
Oh, Secret Level. Yeah, I heard about it. Isn't there like a Pac-Man episode too?
And a Concord episode.
Oh yeah, where it's after they got rid of the game.
Yeah, and it wasn't good. The Concord episode wasn't that good.
Just like the video game.
But like, you have some things like it's a bit like Black Mirror or stuff like that, where it's an anthology series. It's by the same guys that did Love, Death and Robots, but I haven't watched that yet either. But I might at one point. And I've gone. Some of the things are really cool, like the Warhammer 40k episode, and I really liked a couple of the earlier ones. And then later on, like the last two episodes were Concord, and then this one they called Playtime, which is just this cluster of, you remember? Here's all the franchises together, and it's just like, man, this just looks so zoomery, and like they could have done something. That's just looks like it's Fortnite, which is like doesn't really appeal to me.
Do you think over the 5 years people have gone dumber too as a society? That was one of my questions.
Society's been dumb anyway in the history.
Yeah. That is true. The witch trials, the satanic panic.
Especially where there was illiteracy, and now people are all literate and they're being flooded with misinformation.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. Yeah.
The other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
It's one of the things where I go, what I see is I don't know if how to say it. I don't know if people would categorically be getting dumber, or if it's just the lifestyle habits are making the thought process not think as good.
Yeah.
Because biologically, they wouldn't be dumber. Because as humans evolve, we become smarter, that sort of thing. And we were able to look up so much information now that if you don't know how to do something, like you said, the how-to videos, you'd be able to look it up and figure it out.
Well, that's the other thing. Now, have we become too reliant on technology?
I guess it depends how you personally use it.
Yeah, that is true.
Are you going to get one of those AI robots as a housekeeper when they come with the one?
With Elon's.
Oh, there was some other one I was seeing as well. That was like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wherever that
Finally
is.
in the future. The Jetsons.
Yeah.
Is modern
like,
culture...
crazy.
Oh. No, continue with that. Sorry.
Well, when you think of standalone movies too, I was like, oh yeah, Ex Machina is a really good one too. Where that presents some of the same issues of like, okay, there's the AI and the human, and what's the difference? And that's part of what I like about reading Philip K. Dick as well, is that what he ends up trying to just explore in the stories is like, okay, AI human, but does that matter?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Do you think modern culture is too obsessed with nostalgia? Do we fear the future? We're getting into the deep questions
That's
now.
a mixed bag, because if you're thinking of modern culture, there's plenty of people in the younger generation that are like, that's too old, I'm not watching that. And that is like the opposite of nostalgia.
Yeah. It's weird. It's almost like a generational gap.
Yeah, funny about that. But like I've heard stories of other people, someone's cousins and that going, "Oh, that's an old show. I'm not going to watch it. That's an old game." And it's like, well, they're so focused on graphics that they don't care about the other parts of what that is. But certain millennial writing is very nostalgia heavy, and I think that's what the Disney's done with Star Wars is they just try and put the nostalgia in. And they don't really think about other stuff. As writing a good story.
Yeah. They also don't realize if they want to target the general audience don't care about nostalgia.
Yeah. But for nostalgia to really happen, you have to have something good in the first place that people got attached to. Yeah. Or like, I remember that show. So I guess in that way, yes, the entertainment industry is over-reliant on nostalgia because they keep trying to bring up remakes and sequels to things from many, many moons past.
Yeah. Instead of making new things. And then they don't promote the new stuff. So if they do make new stuff, we don't hear about it.
Yeah. I mean, that seems to historically be an issue anyway with some things. Like Disney didn't like Treasure Planet, so they didn't market it very well.
Yeah. Or they spoiled it, and then in the marketing, that's a big thing.
Oh, yeah. Trailers just suck. They're either nothing burgers, or they spoil the whole story.
Yeah. There's some trailers that are really good, though, where it's like they don't tell you enough. And it kind of hypes you up, right?
Yeah. It's enough to get you interested, though. That's another standalone movie I really like thinking of. It has a really good trailer. It's the movie Gattaca.
Yeah.
Which...
What do you think of this whole uptick on the almost like Guardians type trailers? You know, the Deadpool and Wolverine, where it's like they have a pop song, and then they have a group of criminals under what's the word I'm trying to find. It's like damn.
Yeah, they kind of trying to have that comedy and stuff in it.
Yeah, they're like people that you wouldn't expect to be in a group of people. And then
the classic
underdog. Underdog. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, it works
like
for some
every movie has kind of copied that formula now.
They probably went, people like Guardians of the Galaxy, that's popular, let's copy that. And a lot of the trailers end up samey, so they end up like that. Or they end up like, here's all this dramatic thing, whatever else.
I don't think we get that anymore with the Transformers trailers where it's like...
The Outer Worlds 2 trailer made a lot of fun of that. I think they went, hang on a minute. But I think it works for certain types of movies. I guess thinking of it from a film perspective is like, that's what they want to portray for their movie. But it ends up looking too much like everything else, and it doesn't really set it apart for me.
That's the other thing. So
every single Marvel movie, like, oh, that's going to be the same as all the other ones.
Yeah, game trailers are the same way. So they release a trailer. There's no gameplay whatsoever. You don't even know what the game. Sometimes they don't even like have the game finished. So it's like made only for pre-orders.
Yeah, I mean that works well enough for like announcing the game and giving an idea of what the premise and the concepts about story-wise. But with the game, gameplay is very important, so you always probably want to see gameplay before you make a decision anyway. That's how I think about that, because it's like, well, if you're pre-ordering now, you want to know that you really want the game, but be prepared to be disappointed on initial release because it's probably going to be buggy or incomplete.
Yeah. I mean, look at Cyberpunk and like...
Cyberpunk's a great example. I really like Cyberpunk 2077 now.
But at launch, it was horrible.
Yeah, it's interesting because on my computer it seemed to run okay, but then it was still like, okay, well, it's completely different the perk trees and that now than when they initially shipped it.
And then there's some moments in that game where it's like there'll be a NPC that's like floating in the sky or something.
Yeah, but do you really want to patch that? Because you're playing a game. It's just hilarious when you see that. It's like when people make the memes about, oh, the Witcher show's unrealistic because you need the horse floating in the air. It's like, yeah, some of that's just funny. It's not game breaking and that sort of thing. But the problem people had was things were game breaking and all of that.
Yeah.
Well,
look at Outlaws or the Star Wars Outlaws, where you would fall through the game and then the game would crash.
Someone showed me a trailer for that, and I'm like, really?
Well, the first level is already boring. It's like you gotta collect certain coins. Like if it's gonna be an open world game, give me more than just collect coins in the first 5 minutes.
It's by Ubisoft. Look what they've done to Assassin's Creed. They've gone from, I really like the original Assassin's Creed, especially the Ezio Auditore stuff. But then as soon as they killed Desmond, it started going downhill. I don't know if you know much about the story, but yeah. I think that was after Assassin's Creed 3. They started going, look, here's Black Flag, and here's leveled areas, and all of this.
Yeah. And then Ubisoft did that pirate game that no one liked. That was
they might as well should have just made a pirate game out of Black Flag and not called it Assassin's Creed.
That's pretty much what they did. They just copied Black Flag and called it new game.
There you go.
And then Avatar, they did Far Cry, but it was like Avatar.
Yeah.
They just recycled their...
Avatar, probably.
Oh, the James Cameron run, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing, too, is like you say about adapting games into TV shows or movies. You got the opposite problem, too, where so many movies and TV shows made into games are just terrible. My parents, being really good intentions, got me having a Fast and Furious game and a Jumanji game one year, and they were both horrible. It's like the most low effort thing they could do just to sell a game. It's like, what? Yeah. Anything else you want to say or hear about? Is your microphone working? I can't hear you.
Oh shit, I just realized I was muted the whole time. Oh, well, I didn't say anything worthwhile, to be honest. It was just like...
No, so it's like I finished and
I messed up the description. But,
it was funny, I finished and then you're like, I don't hear anything.
Yeah. What about DC, I guess? Everyone wants to hear about DC. What are your thoughts?
Current is a form of electricity, yes. And then we have the Aussie band AC/DC.
Yeah.
Akadaka. That's pretty good. They're
yeah.
They gained popularity from Iron Man as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about Marvel a bit, so I guess DC, yeah. Well,
might as well.
DC's animated movies seem to be really good until Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh yeah, that is right. Yeah, you usually do watch parties of the DC stuff anyway. So yeah.
I mean, I do. I just share the Discord when I'm watching something, and then if someone joins. But a lot of the DC animated movies have been better than the live action ones I've found. And the quality was fairly consistent with that. But I'm like, oh, they didn't do too well with Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
That was something that goes, oh, that's the first real one I'd say is bad.
Yeah. Batman seems to be the only one that's really, making the movies look good. Because everything else is like, ugh.
Everyone likes Batman. Oh, well.
Yeah, look at that.
He's disappearing.
Well, it's green screen.
Part of it must be too close to green.
I got my own gimmick too. I got this. Yeah. This whole interview, I should have just been like this.
Yeah.
Are there any new things?
A bit like the live action movies try to follow way too much after Marvel, and they're not planning it out as good, and they rush the Justice League and all that, and then it's just like, oh well. I don't think I've even watched some of the newer ones, like Black Adam or something like that.
Yeah.
I watched Morbius for the memes. He didn't say it's Morbin time. I was disappointed.
1-star review.
Thought it was interesting to see Matt Smith in something that wasn't Doctor Who.
Yeah. It was just Doctor Who with extra steps.
I think the character's different fairly well, so that was good.
Yeah.
Because he played more of an antagonist. I think I recently finished watching classic Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Which has been over years as well.
Hello, Patrick Quill. That's something. What do you think of Simpsons and how we might as well just study Simpsons for how the future will roll.
Oh, they seem to predict everything. My parents never let me watch The Simpsons when I was youngest, so I've still only really seen clips.
Yeah.
And I think at school one time they showed the Simpsons movie.
Yeah.
But I think, The Simpsons is going that long that you get things that come up, especially with the kind of context that it is.
Yeah. Well, they are also talking about using AI for The Simpsons, which I'm okay with. I mean, if The Simpsons ends, I feel like the Earth would end.
And it's on season 30, whatever, or something anyway.
At this point, the Earth would end because how much they predicted.
But I see the similarities with a lot of other things too. Like, I like reading cyberpunk stories. Usually the ones with it ends with a note of hope, like a promise that things will get better.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And it's very much a thing of, well, a lot of cyberpunk stories are cautionary tales as well, where they go, we'll take this one aspect of society and exaggerate it.
Corporations, usually.
Yeah. And then you look at it now and go, hang on, that doesn't look that far off. And so I think more people should be taking note of, this was actually bad. We should make sure that doesn't happen. And I think that when you look at human nature and things like that, those authors have done a good job of exploring those issues. And then in the same way, The Simpsons and other things, while presented differently, in that would be showing some of the same sorts of things, even if it is in a comedic way.
Yeah.
Am I so out of touch?
I just realized I shared the wrong link to people. It was supposed to be this stream, but that's fine.
That's funny. Things always fairly small scale content creation things too compared to big ones, but it's tricky to gain a lot of traction just generally being how you are, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think people are more nitpicky on everything, every little detail now? It's like, look at the Fantastic Four trailer, and people are complaining about the CGI of Thing, but I think he looks fine. You know what I mean? They're
I
like
think I saw
little
a photo.
details. Or
Yeah.
even, for example, the color grading. People are like, oh my god, everyone's an expert at color grading now.
Everyone, no, that's the internet, isn't it? That you're really talking about. Everyone's an expert on the internet.
Yeah.
You get the vocal minority of people that already would have been nitpicky, but they can say it online now. That's how I think it is. And they don't have to say it with people knowing who they are. They can say it anonymously. So they go, well, just go ham with it.
Yeah.
Like, some of the things like that are good. Like in the case I mentioned earlier, Sonic. People in an uproar about how Sonic looked, they changed it. Whether that was a marketing ploy or actually real, who knows? But that's good. And you might want to unmute yourself too.
Oh, I'm still. I just realized I was muted again. So, professional here. No, I saw behind the scenes of that Sonic movie, the first one, and I don't think it was a marketing thing because, like, they put too much effort into those things.
They got paid for it.
That was
Yeah.
the thing.
So in some ways, that can actually be a benefit when people are in an uproar about, oh, that doesn't look good, or that doesn't look right. But I mean, they've rebooted the Fantastic Four too many times anyway.
What do you think?
It's a bit
of,
like Spider-Man. Oh yeah, Spider-Man's been rebooted how many times?
What do you think of the uptick on retro? Everyone loves retro now. VHS, cassettes, vinyl.
Yeah, it's interesting to see them sort of cycle back around. But I guess you see that with other things too a bit, because I might be showing me some things and it'll be like, oh yeah, these fashion trends just keep coming around every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think it's neat for a vibe. I think like people that have done fan films, like analog horror's really taken off. And that's pretty cool to see.
Oh yeah,
You're
you're a big fan of anime too.
Yeah.
Oh, you said analog. Sorry.
I said I do like anime too, but I said analog horror.
Oh god. Completely different things.
Yeah, pretty different. Although you could have analog anime horror.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
guess
the thing where it's like, well, even if you're looking at animation and that sort of thing, even Western cartoons, that sort of thing, when you had the hand-drawn cartoons and the hand-drawn anime, and how different that looks to now with more computer-assisted drawing and that sort of thing. It's like, well, some of the stuff still looks way better when you're looking at retro anime than it does in modern anime.
Even if they combine the two, like I think that's interesting when they combine hand drawn and computer. And we don't do that anymore. You know what I mean?
Don't do that as much, no. And stuff like I mentioned Treasure Planet earlier too, where they They do a little bit more mix between 2D and 3D with some anime, like Demon Slayer is a big one for that.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, for some things it works, some things it's like, I don't think it quite looks right.
Yeah. I think it's a neat style, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm a pretty big fan of some of the... I mentioned I'm a cyberpunk fan anyway. But
yeah,
looking at stuff like Bubblegum Crisis with the animation quality of that and how it looks, whereas some newer anime, you can tell that the characters look like they're separated from the background and that sort of thing. And they don't look as detailed in some ways.
At least it doesn't have a Netflix adaptation.
Well, that's actually a good point. One Piece was not too bad considering.
That's what I heard. I'm sure it'll be still canceled in like the 3rd season. That's usually how it goes.
It's originally for season 2. But I would say that I feel like One Piece, the live action show, still doesn't really encapsulate some of the spirit of the original early part of One Piece.
Yeah. Death Note, that was just a travesty. But they were
There was
so
a Japanese
close.
adaptation as well, I think, where they had Japanese
They were
live
so
action
close.
actors in there.
They were so close with Willem Dafoe. Like, that was perfect casting. And then Netflix screwed up everything else.
How could you do this to me?
You completely wasted that character.
And that's the thing as well, like, people attach a lot of their dislike of a character to the actor, but then you get actors like Willem Dafoe in that then also end up the product of bad writing in certain scenarios.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can have bad writing, but have a really good actor that can pull it off.
Yeah. That's where it's like, well, it doesn't make sense, like in the Star Wars setting again, to go, well, you're attacking this actor for it. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, yeah. Or even directors, I think.
Certain direction, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody attacks the writers.
Well, it's like I was looking at the Sony State of Play and how they come off as really distant when the people are on screen presenting. Like, that must be the direction of how they're told to stand and talk. Because if you have normal people a bit that seems a bit more interactive, you'd be gesturing with your hands, but then they're told to hold their hands behind their backs and everything in that sort of presentation. It's like, just comes off not as engaging with the audience.
Yeah. The biggest trick, I guess, is to have something in your hand while talking. You know what I mean?
And then you can talk about the money like this.
Yeah.
That's different for each person a bit.
Only money.
Credits are not good here. I need something more real.
Yeah. What do you think of them doing yet another Jurassic Park movie?
Oh, I've only watched the first one. And then I looked at how many others there are and went, how many times can you repeat the same mistake?
And yet people still go to them and they're like, oh my god, dinosaurs. Even me. I'm like, dinosaurs. And then we go see it and then it sucks and we're like, whoa. And then we see another movie trailer and it's like, oh, dinosaurs. And then we go. Yeah. It's like,
that's the thing where you start getting too many sequels and they keep recycling the ideas, but people keep going to see it, so they go, well, it makes money, let's do another one.
Yeah. Like, these people are so dumb. They're coming back into the trap.
So what do you think of Disney Plus adding in ads even on the premium tier?
That's the one thing I do not like about streaming services. Them doing the ads, and then you have to pay extra for it.
I don't understand why they're like, pay for it, but you get ads.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
that's
the-
what I mean. I'm paying for it.
I think the ad
Like,
version of the streaming service should be the free version, and then they run ads because you're not paying anything for it. Same thing as
that is a
YouTube
good
does.
idea. That is a valid point.
Because we
Um,
have some free streaming services here for the local channels, and they just run ads on them, a bit like the telly does.
Yeah, no, that is a good point where maybe people should be able to watch Netflix with ads,
Mm,
and then the paid version is the no ads. You know what I mean?
yeah, because
Like,
then they
it's
get
kinda
their
like
money
what
from the
YouTube
ads
does.
or the subscription. Yeah,
It's what YouTube does, where it's like they force you to get premium because the ads are just
because
constant.
you've got like a minute of ads. I noticed
Yeah.
because I tried watching YouTube on my telly a little bit. Ad 7, I'm like, oh.
yeah, yeah. And then they get like ad blocks, like they make the video laggy when you have ad blocks because they're really pushing for that premium.
Oh well, mine still works.
Don't
haven't
say that
even
too loud.
noticed
Just YouTube might.
Oh well, they know about uBlock Origin anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting how sometimes, like, I have a friend in the Philippines, he'll be complaining about something with that, and I'll be like, I haven't seen that yet. And then, like, a month or two later, I see it, because I don't know why, but some countries must get some of the things earlier. Like, when they started cracking down on ad blockers more, how to go, you're using an ad blocker, you'll be stopped from watching videos in the next 3 videos or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, because look at Tubi. I mean, you can pay for that.
I didn't
Can't
even know
you,
you
like-
could pay for that.
Yeah.
But it's free movies and you just watch the ads.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
maybe other companies should take advice from Tubi.
I think that sounds like the way it should sort of go. Other than they're going to become cable again anyway because they got all their channels
Yeah.
bundled into things. But like,
They should just
how it's-
bundle with Amazon because everyone has
Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah, but the whole thing I go is like, I could pay a subscription for Netflix, but then it doesn't even have everything I'd want to watch on it.
That's
It's
the
a bit
thing,
like I
right?
paid for Crunchyroll for a time, and then it's like, well, it doesn't have this anime, it doesn't have this anime. And now you're stopping me sharing my screen with friends on Discord, I'm gonna stop.
And also that makes sense where I guess it draws people. They can just tune into a streaming service. They don't have to pay for it. You know,
And
if they
still
want to
get
catch a
the
show.
revenue from it.
But if they really want the quality, like the 4K and no ads, they just pay for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there should
like,
be able
that
to
would
do 1080p with ads.
That would eliminate pirating too, I think.
It would make pirating a lot less common, yeah.
Yeah. Did you see Captain America 4? I haven't yet, but have you?
I was going, is there a movie named Cap? Maybe it's on Tubi, one of those B-grade movies.
Captain America.
I haven't watched
I've heard-
a Marvel show since Endgame other than I think... Oh no, I watched Morbius, I said that. And I kind of looked at Doctor Strange out of interest for how they would handle the multiverse shenanigans.
Yeah.
And
I thought Deadpool was good.
Oh yeah, I watched Deadpool. I forgot that's also under Marvel now, not Sony.
Fox, yeah.
Deal, yeah. Deadpool was being gone pretty good, but that's the kind of character that works really well with the style they're going with the Marvel humor. But I don't think it works for all the other movies.
Well, I do think there needs to be a little bit of humor in some of these movies.
Yeah.
But not...
You do
like,
have the issue of
there's a
some of the
level.
others.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider and the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider?
I saw the remake Tomb Raider. I didn't mind it. I thought it was good.
Yeah. I didn't mind it, but in the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movie, there's a lot more quippy. There's a bit more humor in the dialogue that's not Marvel humor as such, but
Yeah.
some things that go, oh, well, this makes it much more entertaining as you go. And it's like,
also
well, then
too
the
serious,
remake
too.
one tried to go all serious on it, and they removed the supernatural part from the game.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, why did you do that?
That's what I was gonna say. There are some movies that are way too serious. They take themselves way too seriously.
Yeah, and it works for certain stories, like Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
But if you're the person that goes, I want to be, it's almost a thing of like, how do I want to be entertained by this movie? Most of the time, people are gonna go, I want to have a bit of a laugh. I want to go on a bit of an adventure, that kind of thing, and I want to just have something that is light and not really serious. And so I think that's where Marvel did fairly well, at least earlier on, with a lot of the humor in that.
I will say this, with Marvel and DC, I think Marvel, and even Star Wars in a sense. So Marvel, despite their flops, they're like, let's keep on going. Let's keep on going.
Yeah.
DC is like, they get a flop, and it's like, oh, it's the end of the world. We gotta reboot again.
That's because they don't have a plan.
Yeah.
They're like, hang on, we got to catch up to Marvel. Quick, let's put out a couple of... Well, here's Superman and Batman, and then, oh wait, no, we'll introduce Wonder Woman in Justice League.
Yeah. Oh wait, that movie flopped. I guess we gotta start all over again.
Batman vs Superman, that's right. She first appeared in that one instead. Yeah.
Whereas Marvel is like, they'll have a bad movie, but the next one, might be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they sort of like, at least it's predictable in a way of like, not every movie will be bad. You might have a bad one or two.
Yeah, and
but
Star Wars
otherwise,
is
I
the
just
same
don't
thing.
care about like the latest phase or whatever after Endgame most of the time.
Star Wars is the same thing though, where it's they get a not enough audience, and then they cancel the show. They're like, we're done.
Well, it wasn't that good to start with.
Yeah, but like sometimes you gotta give a show a chance, a couple more seasons before.
Yeah,
you're like,
but that's where a lot of the time it's like, okay, they treat it like it's a business rather than an entertainment company.
yeah,
And so they see that the numbers don't look right, and they go, well, it'll be similar the next season or whatever, so we're going to cancel that show.
Well, look at this, for example. I'm sure half the popular shows that people rewatch now, they would have been canceled had they come out now.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't have gotten past the first season.
Yeah, there's a bunch that wouldn't have now.
Yeah. Like, look,
Or they'll cancel the good shows.
But for
like,
example,
you have season one of a show on Netflix. I forget exact example. Sorry, I interrupted you. And then they'll just cancel it and not have a second season.
Yeah, Netflix is bad for that. But yeah, no, I'm sure Breaking Bad probably would have been canceled the first season had it came out now.
It's
You
a
know
very
what I mean?
slow burn, especially. Yeah. I
But,
only watched
like-
that much later.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even Dexter, like, things that get popular like 5 years later, you know, you gotta
Yeah, and
let
that's
it almost
where-
like cook. You know what I mean?
I don't know exactly what happens in the background, but you do need to have the writers and the creators also with a bit of a long-term plan too, so the people that are investing in it can see, oh look, this is actually the plan all throughout, which is A bit like how you can see Avatar: The Last Airbender versus Legend of Korra is, where The Last Airbender, they planned out all 3 seasons of The Last Airbender from the start pretty well. And then Legend of Korra, they didn't plan it out as much.
There's also, like, if you wait too long, too. You know what I mean? Like, how many years till they made another Indiana Jones movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is also a thing of, like, oh, now I even forget what it is again. There was some show that I thought of, and I'm like, has that finished yet? Oh no, I was thinking of Demon Slayer, because someone gifted me a game around Christmas time, and I played it. And it's like, has the show finished? Because the manga has, and it hadn't even finished yet. And I'm like, it's been so long since the last part, especially for a TV show. When they, especially the way Netflix does it, when they're dumping all of the episodes at once, that then you sort of forget about it. Because I hadn't thought of Demon Slayer in ages at that time. Are you muted again?
And I'm muted again. Third time's the charm. I guess. What do you think of the Alien franchise? I know they revived it.
I think I've watched the first 2, and then before I watched the first one, I'd watched Prometheus in the cinema because someone wanted to go see it.
Yeah.
So, Alien Isolation was a really good game. I think I've played that as well at one point. But I liked the first 2. They were fun. They were good movies. The story's interesting and all that. I like sci-fi settings. I'm still yet to watch the rest of them a bit, especially more recently. Like Prometheus was years ago, so I hardly remember it.
Yeah.
But yeah. They'll keep trying to do stuff if they think it's profitable.
That is true.
That's pretty much it now. It's like, I thought that, I don't know why they don't think some of the shows that are cancelled are profitable. It's weird. So,
yeah. Because, like I said, sometimes these shows, they won't be profitable for, like, the first year. And then, like, 3 years later, people watch on Netflix. They're like, oh, this is so cool. And they want more, you know what I mean?
Discovered later. It's a bit like a bunch of movies that end up becoming cult classics that flopped at the time they came out, but then people watch them later and go, that was actually really good. I like that.
Well, that's another thing where, what do you think of Movie Talk, where they're all focused on box office numbers now?
No, I don't think I ever watched them to start with. Movie Talk, I'm like, we're talking about movies now. And they're looking at it from the same way that the companies are, aren't they?
Yeah. At the end of the day,
they're just looking at the box office numbers. They're just looking at it. Oh, is this profitable? Oh, yes. More money equals good.
Yeah. They're never talking about, like, the behind the scenes of these movies and, you know, how they made a movie, or, you know. And if they do, they're talking about the director, what the director said on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Some of that stuff's like, it doesn't matter as long as they produce a good movie.
Yeah.
But at other times you go, well, that was indicative of why they did such and such, and it wasn't so good.
Yeah. Well, that leads into what do you think of spoiler culture, where everyone has to spoil a movie nowadays?
If the trailer spoils it, does it for them.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you know how people post memes, like the first day
Yeah,
that the movie's out, and
it's hard to escape
movie
spoilers
clips.
if you're in certain circles.
yeah,
I guess that I'm different. I'm an outlier. I just go. I'm not in that community. I might watch it.
yeah.
A
Nowadays,
lot
they
of
just
the time, the memes out of context anyway, or they get information incorrect. So
Yeah.
it's like, well, some
Nowadays,
things I have
they-
only watched because of memes, though, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I started because of memes.
yeah.
Four
So
times
a lot of people. What?
I was going 4 times the charm.
Oh, yeah.
Something and you're
Yeah,
muted
no,
again.
I purposely muted. I'm just trying to think. I'm running out of topics.
But yeah,
there.
I think you should respect people's wishes if they don't want to be spoiled. But then if you don't want to be spoiled, then you should not be in the circles where they keep talking about it immediately.
Yeah.
Because that's what people tend to do. Like some Reddit subreddits are decent because they go, here's a spoiler thread. Don't click on it if you don't want spoilers. That sort of thing.
Yeah, there should be like almost like censoring the image or video. You know what I mean? Click on the video. Because now people will post the clips from the movies themselves. You know what I mean?
And
Like
it's
a
like,
scene
well,
from
that
a
movie
movie.
just came out.
Yeah.
Sus.
Did you have any topics you wanted to maybe ask me or bring up or
Just trying to think now. Didn't think of that.
we gotta think.
Yeah.
We should make a commercial break. Do we got one?
And we've got the music for it already.
Yeah.
This stream is brought to you by Tusk Blaster.
We'll play the theme song. Greetings, strange humans. Welcome to round one.
Greetings, strange humans. It's time to discuss thrillers and heroes. It's all here with us. From hidden conspiracies to Jurassic's fever, dark twists and tales you won't believe either. Justice is calling, the multiverse grows with epic battles and villainous shows. From comics to screens, it's all here with us. The CjH Entertainment Plus.
There's a commercial break.
Yeah, so that actually made me think of what do you actually think about the concept of a multiverse?
Multiverse? It's a good idea. I mean, it goes back to the nostalgia thing, right? People want, they like what they remember, and you know, if it brings in actors that they liked previously, like Blade, you know, Wesley Snipes as Blade, or you know, Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, it's a great thing, right? But other times sometimes it's too reliant on the past.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think that after Marvel's done it, it's become overused as well.
Yeah.
So, like, there's certain franchises that use multiverses in a way that has a lot more rules to limit. Oh, you can't just get Tony Stark from another universe and plop him into 616, because then that takes away the value of his death. That sort of thing. And I think it's a cop-out answer for a lot of things, too.
Yeah.
They use it as, I don't know how to fix this thing but in a way people would like. Ah, multiverse.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a good thing though, because then you get like moments like No Way Home, where you know Toby and Andrew both kind of helped Tom Holland's Spider-Man. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
adds to the story. And same with the Deadpool and Wolverine. When it's part of the story and not just a shock factor, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they go ham with it for 1 or 2 stories.
Yeah. Where
But I found that like some of like I think Deadpool and Wolverine did it pretty well, but like No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness, I thought the execution could have been done a bit better. And then the whole thing of the holes are opening up, I was like, well, isn't that just because they went back in time to change things?
No, it's
the
about this
explanation was right there.
Disney Plus series that no one watched. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, exactly. I don't watch the Marvel TV shows because it's just way too much anyway, and I wasn't that interested.
Yeah, once these movies become like homework, it kind of defeats the purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you need them accessible to casual fans, but you also need to have it in a way that the fans of it can go deeper with it, especially when it becomes as big as something like all the Marvel movies and that.
Yeah. You
Because
do
then
need
you
more
keep the hardcore
movies.
fans more than just them going, oh, yeah, there's not much attention to detail. And the creators show love in it too by placing all of the things connecting together.
You need more movies that are standalone, but also branch off into the bigger picture. Like Deadpool and Wolverine was kind of a standalone story, but it also came from before, right? All the stories.
Yeah, well,
You
the
have that
first
history.
Deadpool movie and that, like, if they had a multiverse, had Deadpool and Wolverine as the first movie without having the other Sony movies behind it, then you wouldn't be anywhere near as impactful for people. People wouldn't have watched it as much or known the characters, because you got to know it turns the bank on people already being familiar with Deadpool and already being familiar with Wolverine.
Yeah,
especially because they brought Hugh Jackman back.
Yeah. Just mentioned it's Fox, just so no one in the comments in the replay will be like, that one person who will be like, actually.
Oh, it's still funny because it's
actually.
It's funny because it's like, well, Marvel going bankrupt, and that's why they sold off the characters, and now they want them back.
Do you have any like collectibles and stuff that you wanted to show off? Like I have this comic. I don't know if like stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like that meme.
I don't know if a particular collectibles I'd show off. I've got some things up here that are like some of the EE Pop vinyl figures and that I'm sort of like, okay.
Yeah. What's I'm not sure which one that is, but what's the one that has a gray head, or what is
this
that?
one?
I think so,
this
yeah.
one's Darth Malik from KOTOR.
Nice. For those that
that's
don't
all
know,
ghosty now because of green screen.
he's the ghost.
He must be slightly green. He must be slightly
Yeah.
And there's a Darth Revan one as well.
Yeah.
And I guess if we're thinking about that, hang on for a sec. I'm gonna go behind.
So how's everyone doing in the chat?
I have the Jaina Solo figure. That was a fan
Out of the
choice poll,
package.
whichever year it is. Yeah. Out of the package because I wanted to actually display her. Because
Yes.
I like her. She doesn't stand up too well, but you can take the helmet off. You can take the pilot vest off and everything, and it's like she's
now
in a
with
jumpsuit.
accessories.
And it's like, for a fan choice poll winner, they put a lot of work into it, especially in how the face looks. Like they modeled the face after what they thought Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher mix would look like.
What people thought Daisy Ridley was gonna play.
And she could have.
Yeah.
And I thought that... What's his face now? Adam Driver could have
Adam
been
Driver.
someone like Xanatos.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing.
Cool. There's definitely a story in there because they never explored how Luke, Hannah, and Leia died, right? In the Legends.
No, that's something where it's like, okay, if they did movies in the expanded universe, sure, they would have to line up with the continuity, and they might not want to bother, but they still would have been able to do the deaths of the big three and the hand down to the next generation.
Yeah, and they could have did a flashback with Chewie if they really wanted Chewie in there.
Yeah, to explain it. Or it's a bit like, well, they don't have Chewbacca, and people watching ask why, and then they explore some of the books and what happened.
Or I think the intro of the movie could have been like, well, obviously you had the crawl, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say the scroll.
Scroll it on there.
Yeah. The crawl, and then maybe you have what happened during Dark Empire. You know what I mean? You have the younger versions of these characters, like recast, and then time jump into the era with the older actors. You know what I mean?
There's a few different ways that you could have done it, and then it would work to try and fill people in after 30 plus years in universe.
Yeah,
which
especially if you want to keep with that continuity.
Especially when they go, oh, we don't want to set it at the argument of, they wouldn't want to set it at that time, so that's why they want to do new movies, and then they set it at that time anyway.
Yeah.
Because it just means that they have to write it a bit better to be in line up a bit with the continuity, and then they have creative freedom what they do with the characters after there. Apart from what Lucasfilm says. Which I guess that's the history, isn't it? They get directors to work on movies and then they have creative differences, and then directors get fired.
There's lots of that.
Mm.
So any closing thoughts or any where do we find you and all that stuff?
You find me on the interwebs. I'm a cog in the machine, man. I'm caught in the internet.
You go to your local arcade, and then you put in a coin.
Yeah. I still want to do a video on where to start with the EU comics. Now I've read them all. I haven't done that yet, but I will at one point. But you can find me on Callum's Cantina on YouTube and Twitch, and then I've got Twitter, and I've got a page on Facebook and Instagram account and that, where I also have my website, callumscantina.com, where I've got my Star Wars Expanded Universe timeline up there for everyone to have a look at. As well as I was a bit over ambitious to start with, so I've removed a section over this last break. But I'm going to be putting up Star Wars Expanded Universe short stories that would be lost to time otherwise, other than individuals having the files. So yeah, I'm on YouTube here, Callum's Cantina. Twitch doesn't let you put apostrophes or spaces, so it's Callum's without the apostrophe, and it's _ Cantina. I go live on there Monday, Wednesday, Saturday my time nights at the moment. playing games, and then chatting and all that good stuff. And if you want to know a bit more about the CLZ, you can drop in and ask a question and whatever. And look at some of my earlier videos as well, because I've got some book reviews and things that might be too deep for you, but that's fine. I've done some EU one-on-one videos. I've got a playlist on YouTube that is like, well, if I think of another question that someone asks or anything that is good to do as a... This seems basic to me as a foundational sort of knowledge of the expanded universe. If you're getting into it, then I'll probably do another one. That sort of thing, if you're new, that's good.
Yeah.
And some clarification things with defending the expanded universe and that some of the older stuff's not presented the same as I would now, because production quality goes up and that happens. I'm still fairly small. I just do it for fun, so it's good.
And you can find me here at the CjH Entertainment Plus. Not a subscription service, so you don't have to...
Plus what, though?
Well, it's variety content. But...
That's good. Yeah, I mostly play video games now. And then chat and whatever as we go. I've done some reaction videos to things, and if I have something good I want to talk about, I do a video on. Like Legends Con 2, which we didn't even mention here. Yeah.
So that's a wrap for today's episode. We've covered a lot, from the state of Star Wars to Hollywood and the future of content creation. Big thanks to you for joining today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, be sure to check your channel out. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, drop a comment with your thoughts, all that stuff that people should already know how to do. What's your take on where things are headed? As always, stay curious, keep questioning, keep creating, and see you in the next one.
Eerie.
Movies, mysteries, endless quests. CjH, he's the very best. CjH, CjH, on the run, exploring unknown lands, having fun, aliens, movies,
We can talk through this one.
endless quests. Tune in now, it's the very best.
We're still live.
Oh, we're still live. Oh.
Damn. All right.
Oh.